The Last Hope. Rise of the Immortals. Chapter 1. The arrival. The sky was ablaze with the orange-red hues of a dying sun, casting the world in its fading light as the massive ship descended from the heavens. The object dwarfed the landscape, casting a long shadow over the small town of Millfield in the middle of the American heartland. Its vast size rendered the town, the people, their houses, and their cars minuscule in comparison. The great vessel was a monument to the unknown, a symbol of fear tinged with awe. For weeks prior, the world had been on edge, anxiety creeping in as news broke that a massive alien ship was heading toward Earth. The governments of the world were scrambling to prepare their militaries and their people while trying to decipher the intentions of the unknown visitors. Fear had spread across the globe, as many had assumed the worst. The ship shone like a beacon in the night sky, a signal from a foreign world announcing that they had arrived. It touched down on the outskirts of Millfield, flattening trees and crushing rocks as it landed. The ground shook under its immense weight. The inhabitants of Millfield were all watching from the safety of their homes, a mixture of apprehension and awe painted on their faces. Nobody dared step outside. They didn't know what to expect. As the ship settled, the air grew thick with static and the unmistakable hum of power. The citizens shuddered as waves of sound washed over them, and then finally, as silence descended upon the area. Suddenly, an opening in the ship revealed itself, like a massive mouth unfolding, revealing pitch darkness inside, and casting an eerie glow on the surroundings outside. What was inside remained a mystery. Fear gripped everyone, who watched the opening of the ship with bated breath. Time slowed down as the ship slowly revealed its occupants. Slowly, a group of unfamiliar figures emerged from within the ship. They were similar to humans save for their slimy, scaly skin and serpent-like eyes. They looked otherworldly, their presence casting a strange sort of evil. They were different, visceral, and reptilian, with a cold violence that seemed to emanate from deep within them. The aliens stepped down from the ship, without any kind of greeting, without a hint of friendship or peace. They stood motionless in front of the townspeople, their intentions a mystery. Were they conquerors, there to enslave humanity? Were they diplomats extending an olive branch from worlds beyond? Nobody knew. The aliens remained silent, their eyes fixated on the gathering crowd as if assessing them. Tension hung in the air, a thick and electrifying wave of uncertainty accosting the people of Millfield. The arrival of the alien race was an event that would forever change the course of history. With that one landing, the world, as they knew it, would never remain the same. Chapter 2. Escape from New York. It had been 3 weeks since the arrival of the alien race in Millfield, and the world had become unrecognizable. Chaos reigned, with the aliens demonstrating their superiority over humanity by deploying their advanced technology and weaponry. By now, most of the cities around the globe had fallen to the invaders, with countless lives lost and the remaining population enslaved or eradicated. New York City was one of the last bastions of human resistance, but its defiance was slowly fading. The aliens were relentless, searching every nook and cranny for survivors. Their ships flew low in the sky, scanning every inch of the city with their alien technology, hunting down anyone they could find. Humans hid, never to come out of their hiding spots in fear of being caught and taken away, forever lost to the universe. Jake had been living in hiding, with his group of survivors, moving from place to place in the city, staying alert and keeping away from discovery. They had managed to evade the aliens until a few days ago. They were in a small abandoned building, trying to rest when they heard the aliens' ships approaching, their hum becoming ever more intense as they homed in on their location. The group grabbed their belongings, and Jake took point as they ran out of the building. As they turned down the street, they came across a group of aliens, standing guard. Jake signaled the group to stop, hoping that they hadn't been noticed. The aliens, however, had seen them and immediately started to fire in their direction. Jake and his group scattered, running full tilt down the deserted streets of the city, with the aliens hot on their heels. The landscape seemed to twist and turn around them as they ran, their breath coming out in ragged gasps as they jumped over cars and ducked into alleyways in an attempt to evade their pursuers. Finally, they came across a decrepit subway station, its entrance rusted and covered in weeds. Jake ordered the group to follow him down, hoping to lose the aliens in its convoluted tunnels. They sprinted down the stairs and into the dark tunnel, their footsteps echoing eerily in the empty space. Jake led his group deeper into the station, past the eerie darkness, and through the long tunnels until they came across an abandoned train station, illuminated only by dim lighting scattered around the ceiling. Jake ordered his group to sit tight, while he investigated further. As he stepped forward, the ground shook, and a loud rumbling sound echoed through the station. Jake turned back to his group, signaling them to move, but it was already too late. The ceiling had caved in, and a massive alien warship descended upon the station, without warning. Jake and his group were trapped, with no help to come. The situation seemed hopeless, and they knew that they had only one choice: to fight. Jake gathered his group, steeling himself against the impending danger. The humans and the aliens clashed in a ferocious battle, each fighting to survive. It was a brutal and unyielding fight, with each passing moment adding new casualties to the battle. In the end, Jake and his group emerged victorious, their bloodied and torn bodies a testament to the sheer brutality of what they had endured. With nowhere else to go, they made the decision to leave New York and join the human resistance movement. Their only hope was to find a way to stop the invaders before it was too late. Chapter 3. Betrayal. Jake and his group of survivors traversed the countryside, heading toward the secretive human resistance movement. They hoped to join the group and work with other humans to devise a plan to defeat the alien threat once and for all. Though they were small in numbers, they remained steadfast in their pursuit of victory and faith in their cause. Eventually, they arrived at a camp, where they hoped to find refuge and allies to help in their fight against the alien invaders. The camp was heavily fortified and guarded by soldiers, armed to the teeth with weaponry that was unknown to Jake and his group. They approached the camp with caution, ready to defend themselves at any moment. A woman stepped forward, dressed in military gear, her face masked, and an assault rifle strapped to her back. Her eyes scanned Jake and his group before issuing the order to frisk them and check for any signs of infection. They did as they were told, suspecting that they had been discovered by the aliens, and were relieved when they were cleared and allowed entrance. The camp was bustling with activity, soldiers walking in and out of different bunkers, trucks rolling in and out of the camp. The people within were focused and intense, testing out and assembling new weapons to fight in the coming battles. Jake and his group were given a place to rest, their arrival welcomed by the resistance leaders. Jake was introduced to the top-ranking officers of the resistance, Sarah and Thomas. The two individuals were admirable, commanding, and charismatic, and had been fighting a guerrilla war against the aliens since their arrival. Jake outlined his experiences and knowledge of the aliens, explaining how they could help the resistance in their war. The leaders listened, giving him their full attention as they considered Jake's contribution. It was then that Jake discovered one of the most important and secret operations of the resistance, a new weapon that had been developed in a top-secret lab hidden within the encampment. It was a colossal creation, capable of dismantling whole armies of the aliens in one go. As Jake was being shown around the base, he overheard one of the soldiers report back to Sarah, revealing to her that they had found a new location for the aliens' next attack, this time, in the city of Denver. Sarah ordered everyone to get prepared, making sure they were as ready as they could be for the battle to come. The camp was busy, alive with a charged energy as it prepared for the upcoming assault, and Jake continued to prepare himself with his new knowledge of their secret weapon. However, in the dead of night, Jake woke from his slumber to discover that their base was under attack, a massive strike by the aliens to destroy the resistance movement. Jake hurried to Sarah's bunker, where he found that the leaders had vanished, along with the knowledge of the secret weapon. It was at that moment that Jake realized that the woman in charge of the resistance had betrayed them all, handing the secret knowledge and resource to the aliens. The night ended with the encampment obliterated with overwhelming firepower, and the survivors scattered to the winds. Jake had learned a valuable lesson: trust no one. The war had been taken to a new level, one where betrayals and deception were commonplace. It was a stark reminder that in the midst of an extraterrestrial invasion, humanity was its own worst enemy. Chapter 4. The Battle of Europa. Jake had been left disillusioned after the betrayal by the resistance, but he did not give up. Together with his group of survivors, they forged onwards towards their next destination, the icy moon of Europa. It was said that a secret human base had been established over there, and Jake hoped to join forces with the new resistance movement. They landed on the abandoned moon, being careful not to alert the aliens, who by now had spread their forces throughout the entire solar system. The base was situated below the surface of the ice, and there was no way to know who else was there without exposing themselves. Jake and his group slowly made their way towards the base, constantly under the cover of darkness, moving silently and cautiously, sweeping potentially dangerous areas before moving forward until they eventually reached the base. The base was heavily fortified, and they encountered armed guards at every turn. Jake and his group found themselves pinned down within a small room, with little hope for an escape. The aliens were relentless, and their numbers were overwhelming. Suddenly, a hidden door opened, and a young girl appeared, beckoning them to follow her quickly. They ran after her, deep into the bowels of the base, where they found themselves in front of the resistance leaders, Marcy and Richard. The mood within the resistance camp was grim. They had already suffered heavy losses in battling the enemy, who had been slowly closing in on their location. The resistance leaders were in a state of desperation, and their sense of hopelessness was palpable. Jake, however, had a plan. He knew that the aliens' strength was in their numbers, and that they had never faced proper resistance created by the unity of humans. By working together as a unit, he believed that it was possible to overthrow the aliens and take back Earth from their clutches. The plan was simple: engage the aliens in a battle on Europa, where the resistance would demonstrate their united strength and strike a massive blow to the enemy forces. The world would watch via satellite transmission, and a victory on Europa would boost morale and inspire people worldwide to band together to fight the invasion. The battle had begun, and the humans and the aliens clashed in a terrible exchange of brutality. Though the humans had a plan, they were heavily outnumbered and outmatched by the alien advanced technology. They were outgunned, and their platoon was being brutally decimated in the conflict. Just when it seemed there was no hope left, the satellites picked up something strange. The aliens' technology had suddenly started to fail, their weapons malfunctioning as a massive energy wave hit the planet. The resistance had found a way to shut down the aliens' defenses. With the playing field leveled, the humans fought harder, their leader Jake being at the forefront of the counterattack, punching through the alien lines, followed by the rest of the humans in a ferocious attack. They fought until there was not a single alien left on the surface, and the victory was theirs. The news of the victory on Europa had spread throughout the globe in record time, and the people had been ignited by their hope. A worldwide movement of humans banding together, determined to take back their world, has been sparked by Jake and the resistance. It had been a battle that was a turning point in the war, the moment when the world remembered what it meant to be human, and to fight for what was right. Chapter 5. The Last Stand. The news of the victory on Europa had given hope to the world, and the remaining human factions had banded together to launch a coordinated global effort to defeat the alien invaders. The humans had devised a new weapon that could counter the aliens' advanced technology, and the resistance forces were equipped with advanced body armor and weaponry that could rival the invaders' technology. The stage was set for the last showdown between humanity and the alien race, with Earth as the battlefield. The battle had commenced, and it was clear that the aliens had anticipated the humans' newfound unity and strength as they deployed their entire military force, consisting of strange flying machines, land tanks, and ground troops. The humans fought valiantly, staving off waves of alien attacks with grit and determination that had never been seen before. The battle was brutal and relentless, with soldiers on both sides falling with each passing moment. It seemed that the humans might have a chance, with the aliens' technology failing to withstand the humans' new weaponry. However, the aliens were quick to adapt, deploying new tech to counter the advancements of the humans. The battlefield was filled with the sounds of gunfire, explosions, and the screams of the dying. Despite the bloodshed, humanity remained determined to win, fighting fiercely till the end. But the odds were not in their favor, and the humans found themselves in a precarious position. The aliens seemed to be winning, and it was becoming clear that the effort to overthrow the invaders was slowly failing. In a desperate move, the leaders of the human forces, including Jake, decided to launch a massive counterattack. They broke through the alien lines, charging towards the advanced race, in hopes of taking out their leader and turning the tide of the war. Jake had never felt so alive as he fought his way towards the aliens' capital ship. He was in a trance-like state. Nothing could stop him. He was a man with a singular focus: to end the war, one way or the other. He fought his way through the ship, confronting aliens and their advanced weapons. He fought on, regardless of the odds, until he reached the control room of the capital ship. It was there that he faced the leader of the aliens, a creature of immense size and power. At that moment, Jake understood the scale of the whole war, the struggles, the losses, the battles, the entire fight. He took a deep breath and readied himself. The two clashed, with Jake giving his everything against the alien leader. It was a brutal fight, with Jake giving and receiving blow after blow, until he finally had the alien in a vulnerable position, and took him down with his final strike. The death of the alien leader signaled the end of the war. The ships of the alien army began to retreat en masse, the tide of battle turning in humanity's favor. The war was won, and humanity had regained its freedom. The planet slowly picked up the pieces, rebuilding what they had lost in the aftermath of the war. Jake and his group found a new purpose: to help rebuild the world and take care of its people. They remembered those who had been lost, those who had sacrificed everything, and had fought so hard for the freedom of humanity. In the end, the war had been harsh, but it had taught them the lesson that nothing could ever conquer the human spirit. It was a proud moment for humanity, a reminder of their strength, resilience, and their will to persevere. Chapter 6. Resurrection. It had been 3 years since the war had ended, and the world was still in a state of rebuilding and recovering. The scars of the war were still fresh, and the loss of lives was still mourned. Jake had devoted himself to helping the world rebuild, working with NGOs and other organizations in rebuilding the infrastructure and supporting the people who had been most affected by the war. One day, while he was working on a project in a remote part of the Amazon, something strange happened. He was conducting research on the effects of the alien invasion on the area when he discovered a strange artifact, a crystal-like object, glowing with an otherworldly energy. As soon as he touched the artifact, he was enveloped in a brilliant light, and everything went black. When he came to, he found himself in a strange laboratory, with devices and equipment he had never seen before. He was lying on a table, and he could feel the presence of someone or something standing over him. As his eyes adjusted to the light, he slowly realized that he was not alone. There, standing before him, was the creature that he had thought he had defeated in the war, along with some other beings he did not recognize. "Jake, welcome back," the creature said, gesturing for Jake to sit up. "You have been given a second chance." Jake was confused, trying to make sense of everything. However, he remembered the artifact, and he realized that it had somehow triggered an otherworldly event. The creature, seeing Jake's confusion, explained to him that they were not enemies, that his perception of the war had been misled. They had come to Earth for a different reason, to make contact and offer a peace treaty. The alien leader explained that their planet was dying, and they needed to find a new home to survive. Earth was the only habitable planet within their reach, so they launched an expedition to investigate the possibility of a peaceful coexistence, but the resistance and its propaganda had forced them into war. Jake listened to the alien leader's words, slowly starting to realize that perhaps what he thought was a war was actually a massive miscommunication. The aliens had never intended to hurt humanity, and they were merely acting in their self-defense when attacked by the human resistance. As Jake mulled over this, his thoughts turned to the potential of human-alien cooperation, envisioning the possibility of a peaceful coexistence that would benefit both races. He realized that he alone had the power to make that dream a reality. The alien leader knew that Jake had been resurrected for a reason, that he was meant to play an important role in this new era of peace. He offered Jake a choice: to join them on their journey, to help them find a new home, or to stay on Earth and work for peace between the two races. Jake thought about it for a moment, but he knew what he had to do. He had always been a born leader, a fighter for what was right. This was a chance to make a difference in the universe, and he was ready to take it. He accepted the offer, realizing that this was his true calling: to be a bridge between worlds, to create a better future for all. He stood up, ready to embark on the journey, to find a new home and create a new beginning for their entire race. Jake stepped onto the spaceship, looking back for a moment at the Earth he was leaving behind. It had been a long journey, full of trials and tribulations, but it had led him here, to this moment of possibility and hope. He felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, but he had never felt more alive. He was Jake, and he was ready for anything. Chapter 7. New Beginnings. The journey into the depths of space had been long and grueling, but Jake had always known he was meant for this. The aliens had been kind to him, and he had worked hard to earn their trust. As they approached a new planet, he marveled at its beauty, the vast expanse of unexplored terrain that lay before them. The planet was thought to be a potential new home, similar in many ways to Earth. The landing was rough, but they managed to set down on the planet's surface relatively safely, and in the following days, they explored the planet, discovering that it was both beautiful and full of potential. Jake had never felt so alive, and his sense of adventure was at an all-time high. As they explored the continent, they realized that the planet was home to several fantastic natural wonders, and its resources were abundant. The aliens had identified a suitable site where they could establish their new home, and they began work on building their civilization. Jake worked with them, using his skills and knowledge to help expedite the process, pacing up the construction of their new home. Weeks turned into months, and months turned into years. As they built their new civilization, they came across other alien races who had traveled from distant galaxies. They communicated with each other, sharing their knowledge and experiences, and forging new alliances in this vast universe. Jake learned of new cultures, new beliefs, and new technologies. He was amazed at the infinite possibilities that lay out in the universe, and he embraced them with an open heart, eager to learn and explore. As the years passed, there was a sense of home on this planet in this new civilization. The planet had become a melting pot of different races, united in their search for a new beginning. Jake had found a new purpose in life, exploring the wonders of the universe, and being a bridge between people from different galaxies. It had been a long journey, but he had finally found his true calling in life. As they sat around a campfire, looking up at the stars, Jake smiled, reflecting on his journey. His life had come full circle, and he realized that everything he had done, every challenge he had faced, was meant to lead him to this moment. He turned to the alien leader, who sat next to him, feeling a deep sense of gratitude towards him. "Thank you," he said, "for everything. I will never forget what you and your people have done for me." The alien leader smiled back at him. "No, Jake, thank you for everything. You are the reason we were able to create this new beginning, to find a new home and a new future." Jake nodded, feeling a sense of peace like he had never felt in his life. He looked up at the stars once more, realizing that they were closer than ever before, that the universe was open, ready to be explored, and new possibilities awaited. He closed his eyes and smiled, feeling content, ready for what the future held. He was Jake, and he was at home in the universe.